All right, let's go. All right, Tim. Let's go. What are we going to go on?
Well, we had over 800 questions on X. I asked.
800 questions.
Yeah, and the majority were saying, Dad, they want you to run for Prime Minister. And asked you, how do you think Wayne Gretzky would do if he was PM?
And he would do a great job. He'd be thinking of you and I.
Yeah, no, I think he'd do a good job. I mean, you just get people around you that know what they're doing, and and then he's smooth on camera,
and he does that commercial. I don't like that commercial.
No,
the one with shots.
He was one of those guys that when they was being interviewed, he could talk for an hour and not say too much, right?
Yeah. All right, right then. And number 2 is decline and fall of the Bruins. What happened? I don't know what happened. Well, they just traded too many players.
Yeah, they got rid of they got rid of DeBrusk, and then the goalies had something going, and then they got rid of one of the Gwen goes to Ottawa.
Mm-hmm. They broke up the dynamic duo.
Yeah, like you wonder, they were happy together, everything was going.
Yeah.
Like why would you break that up?
I don't know why you break it up. I have no idea why they would break the team up like that.
Yeah, and now they said that Marchand and Pasternak are fighting in the dressing room. And
well, you don't know me. You don't know about that.
They said no. They said it's not. But I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, Dad, I watch the games. Swayman is not playing like he did last year.
No, they're not playing. They're not playing like they did last year. That's simple.
Okay, Dal. So what's the next question?
From N. Russo, the horrible officiating and why still no team in Quebec.
I have no idea why there's no team in Quebec. It is a beautiful arena, a lovely arena. Don't tell me that there's not money in Quebec City.
Yeah, they have a telecommunications company there.
Oh yeah,
that would do it. The fans would go.
Oh, and imagine Canadians going in there.
Yeah, but I mean, they would sell out, and they would sell out every game.
They'd sell out.
I don't know. Like, I just wonder if Bettman's making the right move, going back to Atlanta. Like Atlanta, it's like, how many times shots do you get? It failed twice.
I remember going there with the Boston Bruins, and
you always had fights.
Oh, we always had fights in there. But I don't understand it. I don't understand it why they're going back to Atlanta.
I don't know. I don't know if it's television or what, but
there must be some reason they're going back in there.
I don't know. Smarter minds than us know, I guess.
Yeah, smarter than
Okay, so why is the officiating seem to be worse this year than it has been? And that's saying something.
And that is saying something. The penalties for hooking, that's what gets me, hooking.
Yeah.
Or holding.
Yeah, or a slash.
Yeah. I remember you talking last week. Do NHL refs get drafted for the Olympics?
Yeah.
So could it be more of that?
Could be. They're looking to get into.
I don't know.
It looks to me like the refs look for penalties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's not like I'm going to see if there's a penalty. And
yeah, that's true.
And then they look for penalties. Like I bet you if two teams played a perfect game where there was no penalties, the refs would still call a penalty.
Yeah, bench minor.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tim.
All right, Matt Powell from Facebook. Hi, Don. From watching games at various levels, now that there's less hitting in the games, it seems to me that players put themselves in more vulnerable positions. More often, for example, in corners, and when hits are thrown on them, they're having a bigger impact because they aren't anticipating it. What are your thoughts? Love the podcast, and I'm a great addition.
I saw 2 hits last night. Oh, they were setups, and the guy passed right by them, and he's cutting along the blue line.
Then the player had him lined up.
And the other guy was coming the other way, and he let up on him. He just went right by him.
Well, we always we remember watching when we were scouting. Again, we scouted for 17 years, and It's probably started after about 3 or 4 years of watching the kids. Like, they started turning their backs into the corner.
Yeah.
And I think, and honestly, I think it was at that time the coaches were telling the kids to do that because they would get hit, and then they call it hitting from behind.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember, there was a time where the defenseman could kind of grab the guy.
Yeah. And bear hug him.
And the refs, and then somehow that became bad. Then they started calling holding, so then they stopped that. So now the guys just cross-checked them head first into the boards.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's all true.
What was your best hit?
I think on a guy named Bill McFarland. He used to cut in. He used to cut, and I used to look at him and thinking, why are you cutting? And I could just nail him every time. I don't understand it.
Well,
and he was a smart guy.
And you hit him a couple of times?
Yeah. I would say Bill McFarland.
Oh, Ronnie Ellis?
Oh, no, we don't talk about Ronnie Ellis. Do you want to talk about Ronnie Ellis?
Sure. I think some people heard the story, but this might have ruined your career in the National Hockey League.
Yeah. One day I had the list of the players. I was with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I got dressed in the same dressing room and everything, in the wet dressing room and the wet underwear. And
so this was in training camp in Peterborough?
In training, and Punch kind of liked me. I don't know why he liked me.
Well, you coached in Springfield.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, maybe that's why he liked me. Anyhow.
So you were playing, and then you were scrimmaging against Ronnie Ellis.
Now they told everybody in the dressing room, leave Ron Ellis alone. But they didn't tell me. And here he comes down with and he was always saying all the time, I think I'll go to university. And kind of ticked me off a little in here. I'd give anything to make the league. So anyhow, and he never told me, and I hit him. I hit him. I didn't hit him hard.
You said you was cutting across center?
Well, I don't know. He was coming down with his head down, and I hit him. And, geez, but Punch come running, screaming, get that 50-cent hockey player off with that $1 million hockey player. I'll never forget them saying that. And I broke my stick, and I flung the stick at him. Jeez.
Well, that might have been it for your...
That was it for me for the National Hockey League.
From Simon Jeffries, what on earth has happened to Canadian goaltending?
Tim, you have a theory.
This is my theory. And Dal, you played minor goals, so see if you agree with me.
Yeah.
So the OHL drafts goalies at 16 years old, right? And very rarely does a 16-year-old make the OHL.
Right.
Right. So the question is now, where do they go to play?
Yeah.
If they go back to midget hockey or under whatever they call it now, it's not a very good league.
No.
He's not going to get a lot of good quality. If he goes to play Tier 2 provincial junior hockey, they have older goalies, and the coaches want to win.
They want to win.
So he's going to be kind of a backup goalie.
Yeah.
So he's not going to see a lot of ice time there. So, like, if you're 16 and 17 and maybe 18, they're kind of lost years.
Yeah, no development going on.
There's none,
And that's what's happening to Canadian goalies?
That's what I think's happening to Canadian goalies. I think you've had, like, guys who, like, Carey Price came along and some of the, Patrick Waugh, and they were just naturally so good that, no matter what happened, they were going to be good goalies. But I just don't think they develop. And I remember they were talking a while ago that the OHL should try to get a super league going where all the kids that are drafted by the OHL and who are good or maybe got passed up play in a league that's not Tier 2, but it's better competition than midget hockey. And
quite true.
And then the goalies could play and get better, get some better competition. But it's the expense, right? Like
that's true.
So, because like the OHL would have to carry that, right? And then travel and all.
They lose enough, and the owners lose enough money.
Yeah. That's what I laugh at. Hockey Canada, the guys are going on, well, we develop, we're developing of excellence. They don't develop anybody. It's the owners of the CHL that develop the kids, right? They're the ones that pay for the skates, pay for the sticks, pay for their doctors, pay for their education, pay for their coaches,
Pay for everything.
pay for, have them on the ice once a day. They're the guys that develop the players, not Hockey Canada. But that's what they need to do. That they need to find something for those lost years. Okay, now what's next?
This is the S driver from X. Any Scotty Bowman stories?
Well, I remember one story. It was in we get called into this little room in Boston Gardens, and I remember the windows were all well lit shut, and John Ziegler. Did he give it to us?
He was the president.
He give it to us. He says, "You guys are going nuts." He says, "What's going on with you guys?" Anyhow, we got heck. And the only thing I noticed about the whole thing was he had brown socks with a blue suit. That's the only thing I remember.
Well, didn't you say one time at the forum, he got guy to cut down all the penalties that should have been called and called in. Called in the officials.
Oh, I could tell stories about Scotty. Scotty, he called in. He went down early, and I didn't know the referees went on early to go skating. And he was giving them heck, yelling and screaming at them that the Bruins should have more penalties. And then he brought in the reporters and said, "Do you think that is the penalty?"
He showed the videos.
Yeah. And he showed all the
videos of all the
all the videos of the.
You always got more penalties than Montreal anyway. You wanted more penalties.
He wanted more penalties.
Okay, Dad, we got another question. Speaking of the Habs, Dal.
From Rack, the Habs, can they make the playoffs? Going into Saturday night, they're 1 point out of a playoff spot.
They looked pretty good last night. No, I just can't believe that the Canadiens would make the playoffs. I mean, with that team, I just can't believe it.
Well, St. Louis is doing pretty good. Then Martin St. Louis is doing good, and the goalie's playing really well.
Yeah, the goalies are holding them in there. The goalies are holding them in.
It's just like we said. Montreal, the goalies are holding them in there.
Yeah.
Boston, the goalies aren't holding them in there.
Yeah. True story.
I know, like, the Habs, I looked it up. Their last 3 wins were all, like, overtime or shootout. Like, I wonder how long can you keep that up? It must take a toll every game that you're forced to win. You got to take it to overtime. You got to take it to a shootout.
Looks like they play for it. Looks like they play for the.
But, I mean, that's a lot of times, like I remember watching games, and you could just see the goalie keep them hanging around. It was just like that Latvia game against the Canadian juniors. The goalie just had them hang around. They get a break and they score, and that's what the Habs seem to be doing.
That's what they seem to be doing.
As long as they got the good goalie, they're good.
If he falters, look out.
Yeah.
Okay, Del, what's next?
All right, from Alberta Babe. Don, what do you think of Matthews and Marner both being -6 and a 6-3 loss to the bunch of jerks?
I don't know, -6.
-6. And on a 6-3, that means you were on for every goal against.
And I remember Daryl and I, we were sitting in a little corner. We always sat in that little corner. And Daryl said, "We're +6. Oh, I said, nice going, Daryl. I said, we'll probably go out there and be bing, 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 bing. We got -6. I think we were -5 in that game.
I know, you don't say stuff like that.
No.
I always remember the one funny one, like with that. I was waiting for the game to get over now in a rink. And so usually the little kids played before the minor midgets. So I was standing behind the goal, and there was a little kid, he must have been about 5, and he was watching his older brother, who was about 6 or 7, and his dad was there. And you could tell the dad didn't know much about hockey. You could just kind of get that feel that the dad, and the kid, it was 1-0, and there was about a minute and a half to go, and the father says, "Well, it looks like Johnny's going to get the shutout." And the little kid just went nuts. "Dad, how could you say that? You don't say that. You don't say shutout until it's over." He was all upset. And the father just said, like, "Daryl, I don't believe in that, son. You can't believe in that." Bing, bing, 2-1, they lost. And the kid was going, the little kid was going crazy. What was the biggest minus you were? Do you ever remember?
That was
it?
That was it.
Yeah.
I think we were -5.
Yeah, we told that story before about minus Mike Christie, who played for you in Colorado. Great guy. What a salt of the earth, great guy, Mike Christie, defenseman.
He's a good guy.
And then he came into your office and he saw the plus minus sheet.
Yeah, and I said, just give me a second. I just got to take care of Blue in the back, and then he was in the back. And while he was there, he was flipping, and he was still in his equipment. Holy shit! He said, I'm minus 38.
38.
Yeah, I said, listen. I'm giving the player. Heck, I'm giving the player. Don't worry about it. You know. And he said that. Hardy asked him. He says every time I step on the ice, he lets the puck in the net. And the next game we're playing. And if Winnipeg wins the game, they're in first spot. And if they lose the game,
they get first pick overall.
Yeah, that was it. And holy Dinah, and Hardy was doing his best. He let them in. He let them in from all over.
Mike Christie stepped right on the ice. He took a half a stride, bing, in the net.
I remember, and he just leaned up against the boards. He said, "That son of a gun." Well, I think he said more than that.
Yeah, but he was minus 38. Minus 38. I knew I was minus, but minus 38.
38. Holy gee. He says, I can't believe it. And I said, I'm the coach, and I'm giving him, don't worry about it. You're playing good. And he wasn't playing good.
Okay, Dal, last question of the day.
All right. The Canucks almost got stuck in Carolina. Did you ever miss a game when you were coaching, or did you miss because of the weather?
I remember we were on a bus, and as far as the eye could see, there was cars stuck along the highway. And there was a little wee burger place there. We stayed overnight on the bus. We stayed overnight in the bus, and we were starving when we got off. That was the closest I ever came to missing a game. Well, I remember one time we were in Chicago. Our equipment went on to San Francisco, and we just got it back in time. They were warming up upstairs, and I looked in, and here the guys were in their underwear playing cards. Yeah.
So the Bruins flew commercial, landed in Chicago, but the equipment went to San Francisco.
And we were on time. We were about 20 minutes late.
Did you win?
Oh yeah, they were a piece of cake in Chicago.